Hey everybody, my name is Adam McLean. Welcome to the YSPodcast. As promised, we're here in our new building. Check it out. Same Adam, new building. Ooh, fancy. Hey, we're going to kick it off to our tip this week. It comes from DCLA presenter Mark Helsel.
Hey everybody out there in the youth ministry world. I'm excited that you're watching this podcast. Great to get a chance to talk to you. Hey, all of us, if you're in youth ministry, work with this crazy creature called high school or middle school boys. I mean, they're pretty crazy, pretty wild, pretty sweaty, make a lot of sounds, make a lot of smells. You know, that's what it's like to work with high school or middle school guys. And I want to share a few tips with you today that I found are ways to get through to these guys, these crazy, wild guys, and to reach them for God. And so the first thing I would encourage you to do if you work with guys is to teach your guys differently than you teach your girls. Let me explain that a little bit. Like one time we were running our high school group and we were about to break into small groups. And so what we did is we had the girls go off and they did an activity for their small groups, and it was around food and M&Ms, and they were doing this different sharing thing. Great thing for girls. But for the guys, what we did is we took them all into this big room and we built this amazing wrestling ring with all of these pillows and cushions from the couches in our youth room. And then we just split into two teams and we did this tag team wrestling event for our small group. Guys had to tag in, tag out. I mean, we just putting body on body, knocking each other around. And when we got to the end of that time, the guys are laughing, having a great time. We all gathered in the center of that makeshift ring and we shared some scripture about being there for each other, about being brothers, about having to tag off when you need help, and being there in each other's lives. I mean, when we left that night, guys were high-fiving each other. Guys were just so excited to be there that night. But if we would have sat around with some M&Ms and did some nice, quiet sharing, we wouldn't have had the same experience. So do some things like that with guys. Teach them differently. Guys like physical stuff. Get physical with them and teach them through that physicality. So that's one tip. The second one would be this. Give them healthy doses of adventure. Guys love adventure. They love to get outdoors. They love to do outdoor things. Get them whitewater rafting, get them spelunking, anything, sports, anything that you could do to reach them. Give them healthy doses of adventure. And adventure could be simply of giving your life away, serving. That's an adventure. Give them, put them in situations that cause them to sacrifice. And so, you know, give guys a healthy dose of adventure. And then finally, what I would say to you is teach the bigger things to guys, and your girls too, but especially for guys, teach them the bigger things. What do I mean by that? Well, so much of youth ministry focuses on don't do this, don't smoke, drink, or chew, or go with girls that do, or just stay away from all these things. And we don't teach guys the bigger things. Like teach them the bigger things in your youth ministry, like sacrifice, like honor, like courage. Like what does it mean to give yourself for others? I mean, teach them the big things. Appeal to the William Wallace and all of them, because these are young warriors. These are young warriors for the kingdom of God. So appeal to the bigger things in their lives. Appeal to the honor and the sacrifice and the courage and just being a man of God. Inside of each guy, no matter how crazy or immature they are in your youth group, there is a heart that longs to be a warrior for God. So really encourage you in those ways to reach your guys. I hope this has been helpful to you. Go out there into that crazy world of adolescent teenage guys, and thanks for all that you do. Have a great day.
Thanks for that, Mark. Next up on the podcast is Bob Smiley, and he's got this devotion to share with you.
Like you said, my name is Bob Smiley. I am a comedian. I actually wasn't always a comedian. I was a stay-at-home dad for a while, but then we had kids, and I had to get out of there. And my wife and I, we have 3 kids, which is actually cool just to say, because I love saying that we have kids, because we were actually told that we couldn't have kids when we first got married. We were told that by my mother-in-law. She actually thought she was in charge because we were living with her at the time. But I absolutely love my kids, and they are one of the most important things to me. And just through prayer and through the church and stuff, I love seeing them grow. And my first two, we actually had them. They were born in a hospital. The last one, we actually had him born. I don't suggest doing this, but we did it a little different. I had him. I'd read an article that it was better to have the baby underwater, so we did that. Don't do that, by the way, because as it turns out, not everybody at the YMCA had read that article, so it was a little awkward. The lifeguard kept blowing his whistle. The doctor couldn't concentrate. He was like, "Push, swim around." But the point is like, I love my kids, and I love knowing that when they go to church, that they are going to have a youth leader to help continue the path that we're trying to put our kids on. And so when I came out here to San Diego for Spirit West Coast, I really wanted to jump on this video just to encourage youth leaders for what they're doing, because they're actually living out what Romans 12, 6-8 talks about, where we all have individual talents, and we find out what those talents are, and we use them to glorify God, because those talents come from God anyway. So I just want to encourage you youth leaders out there that have found your talent, which is being able to relate to kids. I do 100 shows a year for tons of youth groups all over the country, and I've even been to third world countries like El Salvador and Honduras and Arkansas and places like that, and I get to truly see how a lot of kids, especially kids that don't have a mother or a father, they're reaching out and they need a role model, and they find that in their youth leader. And so it's just great to be able to go and do a show for kids, get them to laugh, share the gospel with them, and then they'll email me with questions. And it's so great just to say, hey, look, I'll give you the answer to these questions, but truly you can find these answers with your youth leader, and know that I can just hand them off to that. I'm just going to close with this last quick story that kind of happened with my grandmother. My grandmother was a huge on-fire Christian, and she taught me several things. One was to read the Bible every single day. In fact, she said it this way. She said, you got to read the Bible every day. It actually made her mad that young people never read the Bible, and of course elderly people are reading the Bible like crazy, because it's like they're trying to cram for a final. So I started reading the Bible when I was young, and I did. I came across Romans 12, and it started talking about these individual talents and our spiritual act of worship, and it really challenged me to lock in. But the one thing that my grandmother did that really fired me up, and this is why I do Christian comedy, was she took me to a grocery store one day, or it was actually a 7-Eleven. I don't know if you guys have them. It's like a little convenience store. And she said she would buy me anything in the store if I could pass this one little math test. And she took me over to this drink station. And they had small, medium, large, and they had this thing called a Big Gulp, which is this huge, big cup. It actually should come with a weight belt so you can carry it out to your car. And she said, if you can pick out what's the best deal based on size and price, then I'll buy you anything in the store. And I didn't think I'd be able to do that math, mostly because I went to public school. Although I was homeschooled for a year, and I was good at it. I was actually the valedictorian. That's another story. Anyway, so I went to the drink station, and I looked, and they had small, medium, large, and then they had the Big Gulp. And I looked at the top, and it said 59 cents, any size. And I remember pausing, just thinking, well, that's easy. And I turned around to my grandmother, and I said, well, it's 59 cents, any size, so the best deal is obviously the Big Gulp. And my grandmother told me this. She said, that's exactly what Christianity is all about. She said that when Jesus Christ died on the cross and came back 3 days later, proving that not even death could hold him down, not only did he prove that he was who he said he was, but he also paid your price. And she turned me around and she said, once you accept this awesome gift, all you have to do is decide, what do you want to get out of life? And she showed me the sizes. She said a lot of Christians, they truly believe it, but they just get a small, and they don't take their talents and use them for full glory. They don't take every single opportunity. And so when I think of youth leaders, I think about you guys just getting a big gulp of life, a big gulp of ministry, because you take it all in, and kids just come to you with tons of problems, and you're there with the ultimate answer. Found in the Bible and found in our loving God. And so I just want to encourage you guys to keep doing what you're doing, and I look forward to ministering with you guys throughout the years.
Hey, thanks for watching the show this week. Contrary to what you might have heard on the internet, we actually did bring Jesus with us to the new building. We want to invite you to connect with me. You can send me an email at adam@youthspecialties.com, or look me up on Facebook or MySpace or Twitter, and I'd be happy to just interact with you and encourage you in any way that I can. We want to remind you, just like we do every week, that your ministry matters. We know that you don't hear it enough. We know that the people in your life that should be saying it just for some reason aren't. But we want you to hear from our heart to yours, that your ministry matters. It matters deeply to the parents and the students, but most especially to the heart of God. Thanks for what you do, and we'll see you next week.